Many of the best employees at your landscape company will come through referrals from your existing team, or they may find your open positions online. But how can you proactively go out and find new employees? Check out today's episode where I interview a professional recruiter for the landscape industry who talks about how to create a cash referral bonus program, how and when to use LinkedIn, what to look for when you're outsourcing to a professional recruiting company, and tips for getting actively engaged in your employees' communities so they're finding you.
We weren't getting the leads that I knew we could. We weren't getting the right leads.
What started happening is that our leads are more qualified.
Our sales have probably gone up by about 10 to 15% a year.
We're going to increase our sales volume by $1 million in a year.
Hey everyone, Jack Jostes here, and welcome to The Landscaper's Guide. This show is all about inspiring the green industry with ideas for sales, marketing, and leadership to grow your company. We've had a lot of great episodes focused on employer branding and marketing, the things that you need to do to stand out as a great employer so people find your job ads online, watch your videos, and ultimately choose to work with you. But one thing we haven't talked about on the show is doing proactive outbound marketing and outbound recruiting. And that's what today's episode is all about. So I recommend doing all of it though, the employer branding, the marketing, and this. So if you haven't already, check out landscapersguide.com/podcast, and you can click on the recruiting tab to see our previous episodes. And with that, let's get into the conversation with Tommy Cole from McFarlin Stanford. All right, everyone, welcome to The Landscaper's Guide. Today, I'm excited to interview Tommy Cole. Tommy is the vice president of McFarlin Stanford, which he was just telling me is like the back office of every landscape company. Tommy, I've gotten to meet you and many of your partners at McFarlin Stanford over the past few years. We're both members of the Texas Nursery Landscape Association and NALP. It's been great getting to know you. What do you mean though? What is McFarlin Stanford, and what do you mean that you're the back office of every landscape company?
That's a great question. What we always sort of tend to tell the story is landscapers are great at building stuff, right? Construction, installation, making things pretty, mowing, taking care of properties. But the trick is they're not well trained or diverse in the back office. And what the back office means is financial, right? How to read a P&L statement, right? How to read the books correctly, how to do office administration, how to do sales, how to do operational, how to manage a team, how to lead a team, a lot of leadership skills, right? We're great at the green stuff, making it pretty, but what about the stuff that we're just not really good at? We're good at getting our hands dirty and making a product, but what about the backside? And so McFarlin Stanford offers a lot of services. We head up a large peer group. We've got 10 peer groups across the country, 10 to 12 business owners in each group. We do a lot of private coaching for over 300 companies in the US. We also do bookkeeping for small companies. So I handle all the books. We also do recruiting. So we recruit management staff and above for your company. That's kind of the nutshell. We have the ability to have HR services part of our piece. We have valuations. If you're looking to buy or sell a company or just want to ask for a loan, right? Mergers and acquisitions is pretty good. So everything that's the back office without installing shrubs and mowing grass.
Awesome. And what is McFarlin Stanford? Are those is that your name, or I don't think it is right now. I've met you and some of your partners. So tell me that's just quick history of the firm and the name. Yeah,
we're not a law firm, right? It sounds very, it sounds like that. Jason and Jim Calla and Jason New are the founders of McFarlin Stanford. Jim lives on McFarlin Street, and Jason lives on Stanford. And so they came together and say, hey, let's just get something together that's not, has the word landscape in it, right? We're going to be able to help, we're going to be able to coach landscape companies, but let's sort of change things up. And it just happened, that sort of thing.
I love it. Yeah, it does sound kind of like a law firm. I thought that actually when I heard your name the first time at TNLA. Well, today we're here to talk about a really important and interesting topic, which is outbound recruiting. So we've talked on our show before about the importance of marketing and some of the things you need to have on your website. And many employees are searching online for jobs, or they're getting referrals. By and large, landscape companies, let me know if you agree, are mainly going to find their employees through their current employees. And you can't always just sit around and wait for somebody to find you online or to be referred by a friend. And that's where this idea of outbound recruiting comes in. So tell us a little bit about what is outbound recruiting and what are some of the ways that we can do it?
Yeah, the phrase of, hey, we need some people. We'll just put a now hiring sign, right, in the front of our building. And guess what happens? All these people coming in, right? We're just going to knock on the door and they're going to show up. Those days are long gone, right? At the end of the day, you always have to be hiring. Even if you think you're staffed, you've got to be constantly looking for people. Whether you're in growth mode, whether someone leaves, like you've got to be hiring. And your team needs to know that. Right? It's not just the owner that is looking at their organization chart. Does every team member know the importance of new people, whether it be the field staff, management, and above, whatever? You're always hiring no matter what. I think that's a big takeaway right now is we're in the service industry, people servicing people at the end of the day. And so we need great employees to run our business. And the employees are actually the biggest asset to an organization. It's not the equipment, it's not the clients, it's the people. And so we're always looking, and you have to get into that mindset that you're always recruiting, you're always looking for people. It's not something that you think about every Friday morning at 8:00 and you spend an hour on it, right? It's a daily task to be recruiting constantly.
Yeah, it is. And one of the things that I do with my own staffing needs is I keep positions open on our website, or at least we're always accepting applications. And we'll note on there that, this position is currently filled and we invite you to apply. And I get a lot of people who apply that one of whom has almost worked with me for 2 years that applied. And then I think it was 6 months later, we ended up hiring them. And so that's one way that you can kind of always be doing that. And then sure, some people are actively looking and they're going to get a job offer next week and they're going to take it. But what are some of the ways that you can proactively be recruiting? How do you find people? How do you connect with them? What do you say to them? Right? Where do you find them, especially for landscape companies?
Yeah, good point. I've got a list. I've got a handful written down for you. Where do you find them? I think you hit the nail on the head earlier where you said a referral, like team members that are already in your organization. They know people, they have friends, right? They have family. What a better way to have someone in your staff to refer somebody. So the hot topic now with a lot of our coaching clients and peer group members is a referral bonus program, right? You refer somebody, we will pay you for that. And a lot of times that happens in cash, a cash referral bonus program. You just bring someone and refer them in here and they get hired. The day you get hired, here is $100 cash. Here you go. And you present that in front of the team and they're like, wow, that's amazing. Like if I get $100 now, and then you spread out those, if that person sticks for another, 60 days, it's another $300. If it's another 120 days, it's another $300. And at the end of the year, that staff member could get $1,000 cash. So like that is the ultimate referral to bring on team members, right? The back history to that, you got to make sure you got a great organization, right? It's got to be a great place to work. The culture has to be great. They have to be excited to work for the company. So that referral program has been a huge win. I wrote down here community, and oftentimes we post stuff on the internet, right? Hoping and praying someone jumps on our fishing line and we set the hook, right? But you kind of got to go fishing, right? You have to go physically go out there, and it's in your local community. I wrote down like local churches, right? In the neighborhoods of where a lot of the people that where they live, right? It's intramural sports teams, soccer, baseball, volleyball. There's things that happen in small communities are like, that's the people we want. It's high schools in the area. I mean, what a better way to get in front of high school kids and saying landscape is an actual career. You could be here for 30 years and retire with our organization. And a lot of high school people don't know that. They're like, oh, you're just pushing a mower. No big deal. I don't want to do that. But there's so many avenues in a landscape company to work for. The last is professional recruiters, right? And, McFarlin Stanford does that. I think it's like a two-pronged approach. Your organization needs to be actively approaching, local communities, reaching out constantly with team members. But it's not bad to have a professional recruiter also looking for people, right? It's multiple sets of eyes on it constantly. If staffing your organization is your number one priority, why not have the two-pronged approach, right? So the best thing about professional recruiting services is you only pay when they find someone, right? So why not hire them, look for people? They've got a huge network across a community or a geographic region. People are moving all the time. People want to look for something better. Hire them. You find the right person, and you pay them for this. For locating it. So that's kind of like sort of top four. There's also universities, right? Local universities with horticulture programs, landscaping, contracting programs. Those people are always looking for something, right? When they come out of college, right? What a better way to get them into your system and develop with a good team. Those are some of the top ones of how to find people.
Well, I like what you said about the cash referral bonus program and how you have it staged over time and recommending that people pay in front of the team, right? Saying, hey, Tommy, thanks so much for referring Larry. Here's $100. And then, wow. So you were saying $1,000. Is that typically what you'd advise a client to pay out in a cash referral bonus program per hire? Absolutely.
That's nothing. Think about the value of a team member coming on board to your team. What $1,000 means. That is absolutely kind of pocket change at the end of the day. Right?
Sure.
Now the person that brought that employee on board is excited because he referred a friend. That friend that came on board is excited. Right. And so $1,000 is really nothing. If employees are your number one asset in an organization, that to me it's not that much money. Right.
Well, yeah. And I have surveyed landscapers. I have run masterminds. I've talked with a lot of people. I have some note cards here where I wrote down, I did a mastermind and I asked people, how much is it costing you per year not being staffed? These were ranging in revenue, the firms, but some of them were $200,000. One person was $1 million in work when they didn't get their H-2B visas, that because they were understaffed, they couldn't service $1 million in sales. So finding $1,000 makes a lot of sense. I sometimes hear people, I think they're way lowballing it on the cash incentive for that.
Totally get it. And the best part is doing it in person, right? I mean, take the initiative to get the cash, right? And present it in person is such a grander effect than saying, we'll deposit $100 in your bank account. Oh yeah, but max, minus the taxes and all that, it's really like $82. But you don't really see it. You don't see it, but taking home $100 bill is a whole different story, right?
I agree. So I actually send my staff $100 bills for their different things. And when I go to the bank, I ask for the crispest $100 bills, and they always laugh, but I always get them. And then there's something about a $100 bill that it's fun too to have it, and then you go and use it on something. One thing, I haven't looked into this too far, but I heard that if you buy those Visa gift cards, that's actually then a business expense, and it's not considered payroll, so you can write it off.
Yeah, I get
Whereas
that. I in my opinion, it's kind of like it's another piece of plastic to hold on to that can get lost, right?
Yeah.
Like how many times do we have gift cards? You're like, man, I got a gift card from so and so, and I can't find it, but you're like, it's somewhere, and it's like $50. But if it was a cash bill, it just means so much, and we found so much success across the entire country with that. You know what that does? It just improves the culture of the company, right?
Right.
And everyone has a culture at the end of the day. It just depends on if it's good or bad. And that makes it a good culture, right?
Sure. Yeah. And the next point that you talked about with community, I wanted to share a story of a client of mine who's actually in Ennis, Texas. They're Techscapes, and they created an apprenticeship program with the local high school. So they work with the gym, and they donate the materials where kids can learn horticulture. They basically make hanging baskets that are then sold at the nursery. But in addition to that, they created an apprenticeship. And I just interviewed, actually, when I was down in Texas, when I went out with you all, I interviewed this young woman. She was 17. She went through the apprentice program, and now she's going to work at Techscapes full time.
Oh, wow.
And then they're working with the association, the TNLA, to get her certified. So there's just a lot of different ways I think that you can get involved. And then Casey, the owner of the company, goes and speaks at the high school, right? So he goes and speaks. A lot of high schools are looking for small business owners to come in and talk about, what do you do? What's it like to be an entrepreneur? And the whole idea that, you can have a legitimate career in the green industry is something that people need to hear. And I think it's a great way.
Yeah. Most people don't know they can make it a career, right? They just don't know. They just need to be in front of someone that, has a business and that can teach them, man, you can do anything from maintenance to fertilizer application to installation you could even be a fleet manager or a mechanic. You could be a mechanic in the landscape industry. It's just fascinating to see and the best thing about in the landscape world is you can make instant gratification changes, right? Right now, you have an instant impact. It's a green industry. It's very popular. It's a growing industry. It's outdoors, which is great, right? You don't get to sit behind a desk every day. It's attractive. You get to work with your hands and build, some great stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's an exciting industry. And so for people listening, I hope the apprenticeship or getting involved with the high school and speaking, that's a really great way to connect and spread the word. One of the things, so I went to the Grow conference, Marty Grinder's Grow conference, and a bunch of the McFarlin Stanford team was there. And I met one of the recruiters from your team. And then he introduced me to somebody who had been recruited. And he had his story, this guy, he probably had 20, 30 years of experience in the green industry and was moving to Florida. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was moving from North Carolina to Florida, and you all helped him find his new job. Yeah. And he said that you all connected with him on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And so I was curious about, proactively finding people. Like, is LinkedIn relevant for finding landscape employees, or?
Yeah, it is. It's relevant. It's not the end all be all source. Right. Not everybody's on LinkedIn. A lot of people are on LinkedIn. Some are on it, but they might not ever use it. You'll find a lot of people will use it when they are like, I need to change jobs, so I'm going to get it on LinkedIn. But yeah, we do find a lot of candidates on LinkedIn. We also find a lot of candidates just meeting people, right? Meet someone that so the person that went to Florida got placed, he knows a friend in the industry. He knows another friend in the industry, refer them, right? And it just multitudes after that. At the end of the day, landscape is a small industry. A lot of people. Take the Dallas-Fort Worth market. Everyone knows everyone.
Totally.
So LinkedIn is great. I recommend, if you are, seeking a better opportunity, or if you're moving, you always need to keep your LinkedIn profile up to date. Keep it professional, right? Go on there and search companies, look at them, see what they're doing, see what they're building, like their stuff. The more traction you get, the more you understand the industry, the better off you are. It's almost like a permanent job interview. LinkedIn is, right?
Yeah.
It has your face. It's like you're always looking. I spend about 20 minutes every night on LinkedIn, every single evening. I just get on there. The kids are going to bed, right? They're sleeping. Why not 20 minutes and see what's going on? What's the podcast? What are these companies like out there? What are they posting? What are they struggling with, right? Understand them. I think that's huge in this industry is putting yourself out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're in constant job interview mode, right? And someone may seek you out. They're looking. So always have that LinkedIn profile up to date, professional looking.
So that makes sense, for if you're an employee, right? What about for business leaders who are listening that are maybe struggling to find people? What are some things that they could try themselves to recruit? So I love the getting involved in the community. I agree. The culture of your company, like if you're not a good place to work, people are going to find out sooner or later.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a foundational thing. What are some things that they could go try themselves to start up a conversation with somebody that might lead to an interview? Or I would, as a company, I would connect with a lot of people, right? We're all in this in the relationship business. So it's getting connected. If you got someone in an organization reaching out to people, right? Making a connection. Hey, I saw your post. It looked great. How is it going? Right? How is the business going where you're at? Like interaction. It's almost like a digital conversation. So here's the thing is always be in communication. Oftentimes what companies do is they go, well, we're not in need of someone, so we're not going to be on LinkedIn as much, right? Oh, now we need somebody, so now I'm going to go engage in conversations. I really firmly believe that companies need to be involved in social media all the time, constantly. And there should be a dialogue and interaction. When there's dialogue and interaction, your company is getting elevated in the social media world, right? To be seen. Right. And as a company, you want to be seen in the social media world. So in order to be seen, now you're being attracted to potential candidates. Definitely. Right? Yeah. I think, you have to be involved in those conversations. And I'm the same way, actually. After I put my kids to bed, I'm checking out LinkedIn and just even liking some posts and posting a comment. You learn a lot and see a lot. Yeah. So what's it like to work with a professional recruiter, and how would you know if you're talking with a good one or a bad one? Right. So what are maybe some things that what would be the criteria of a good recruiter for a landscape company? Well,
first and foremost, industry knowledge, right? Do they recruit in that industry, or do they recruit for multitude of industries, IT, right? You name it, across the board. Are they in the hospitality? Are they in the medical world, right? So I would hone in on specific, right? So landscape industry, right? That's probably a big one. You understand it a little bit better. To me, you have to, the recruiting staff has to understand who you are. Right. So let's get an intake form is what they call it. Like, let's really understand Jack as a potential candidate. What is he like? Where's he from? All the experience that he's put together. Like, we need to have a long conversation about what you're looking for, where you've been, what's your history, all that. Like, really understand that person. The more we understand that person, then we can take that person and make a fit for an organization. Right. So someone that takes the time to get to know that person. It's kind of like their profile. The other thing is are they updating you along the way, right? So you've hired someone. Are they giving you weekly updates or daily updates saying, hey, listen, I've reached out to a couple of organizations, right? How is that dialogue? And you got to act like this is like a client, right? This is like a client in a landscape company, right? So we're talking about, intake form. Are they in the industry? Is there communication, right? It's no different than running your own business.
Yeah.
Those fees they're expensive, right? And so at the end of the day, you want to make sure you're getting that volume in, and you feel like you're getting your return on your investment for that person that you may hire. McFarlin Stanford does it great. We take those recruiting fees that you'll pay and divide it in 12 months. So it becomes a monthly payment, which is great. So it's not a one-time hit up front. Most landscape companies can't take that one-time hit up front. So we space it out over the course of 12 months, which is great for landscape companies.
Well, and then what happens if the employee doesn't work out? Do they keep paying you or?
No, the employee leaves, it doesn't work out, we replace it at no charge.
Wow.
Right? So here's the thing, like I said earlier, it's a win-win. You got to take that multi-prong approach. If you just say, I'm going to put a now hiring sign up front, well, that's not going to work, right? They just don't walk in. How can I attack and go after the community and the colleges and the universities, referral bonuses? Oh, and by the way, can I hire a professional too? So think about all those approaches across the board. So now you have all these avenues that you can start to get candidates to come in, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think you need to have multiple channels for your sales and marketing, for your recruiting, and that'll set you up really for a good steady stream of potential people to work with. And like you said, those conversations, I think connecting with people on LinkedIn and keeping an interaction with them, just even checking in with them. Maybe they're not ready to work with you now, but they may be later. And there's definitely been times where I've kept in touch with people.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is a key, because we're in the relationship business at the end of the day. You may not have a spot for that person, but that doesn't mean you need to hang up the phone and not talk to them until the time is ready. Well, what you may find someone and they're not ready. So that candidate's like, listen, I'm not ready to make a move. Like, I'm good. Thank you, Bob. We completely understand this is the right move. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to stay in touch with you. Oh, really? Right? You know how we always say we're going to stay in touch. So what you do as an employer is you put in your calendar, I'm going to follow up in 3 months and another 3 months. And I'm going to keep checking in 4 times a year with Bob. Bob, how's it going? How's the family? Oh man, it's great. I still love the company. What if 6 months go by and Bob goes, this is not working out, man. Something's not right, man. Oh, is Jim going to call me again? Yep. Here comes Jim calling again, right? Bob, how's it going? Bob, Bob's like, I'm not feeling it anymore, Jim. I think let's talk, right? Because you fostered that relationship like you really meant it. And it may take 6 months to get that key manager. It may take 12 months, right? But at some point, they may make a decision and go, you know what? I think I need to really entertain a conversation with Jim.
Tommy, it's been a real pleasure. For people who are listening that want to learn more, how can we connect with you?
Yeah, great. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm there every night, right? Tommy Cole, that's Cole. So you can find me there. I love to comment and interact with all of our clients, everything. So connect there, or you can go to our website, McFarlinStanford.com. We've got a great videos and information about peer groups and bookkeeping, recruiting, any of that. You can contact us and you can get on our contact list. Just sign up for the newsletter. It's the first thing that pops up on the website. And then you get all of our content and sort of things at events coming up when we're speaking. Look for us on social media. We're all over Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. We're speaking several times a year. We're hosting peer groups. We do a lot of fun stuff. It's great. We're all about growing businesses in the landscape world. So enjoyed it.
Awesome, Tommy. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. And I'll put links to that in the show notes. It's McFarlin Stanford. That's McFarlin. And then Stanford is Stanford. So McFarlin Stanford, like the streets, if you haven't been on them. So awesome, Tommy. Thanks so much. I really enjoyed talking with Tommy and his perspective on building relationships with people, getting involved in their communities, creating incentives, but ultimately treating people like individuals. I think that's the key to selling and to recruiting, is to have that conversation and treat people like an individual and then follow up with them over time. And when it makes sense, they'll join your team. That's worked for me with recruiting for my own company, and I've seen it work for my clients too. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you're curious about other ideas for recruiting and employer branding, check out landscapersguide.com/podcast to see the recruiting tab where we've got other interviews on related topics. My name's Jack Jostes, and thank you so much for listening to the Landscaper's Guide. I look forward to talking with you next week.